Hi, and welcome to Andy's Trains Repair and Maintenance. Today, I'm actually going to show you something that most people don't do or have never thought of, at least not to my knowledge. We're working on a 64 66W tender, and it has a plastic whistle housing. I've already cleaned it up as usual, and this is all done with the usual cleaning that you've seen in my other videos, and it works great, it whistles great, and that's not what we're doing today. We're not touching that at all. What we're doing is we're going to work on the shell. And you may be seeing this upside down and backwards or whatever, I don't know. The camera is, I'm on the other side of the camera, but in front of it. But I wanted to show you, this is a usual plastic tender shell. This one happens to be a 1666T shell, which they use for a lot of different tenders. But you can see the hole mountings. Let me get this, you can see it. The hole mountings are quite broken. You can see it's all chipped out. This one on this side is really bad. It's like almost gone completely. In fact, it is gone completely. And same thing with the other side, the back end of this tender. That one's broken, and so is this one. However, what we're going to do is, see if I can give you a better shot. What we're going to do is, there you go, now you can see this one is broken, that one's broken, as usual. So I'm going to show you a way that I kind of developed myself recently. I got tired of trying to figure out how to fix these things with putting some certain kind of glue or plastic or something, and it just, nothing ever worked right. And I figured out finally a really foolproof way of doing this. It works great, and you'll see the end result at the end of the video, I hope. And it really is quite easy. Several steps. First step, it's almost impossible to mold these original holes in the plastic because we don't have plastic to mold. So what I've devised is I take a piece of tubing. You could use a straw. I have this white plastic tubing that I use. I also use clear. I've used the clear one, and I'll show you what that looks like. This is just a plastic tube. It's quite flexible, as you can see. I can squeeze it, and it's thin walled, and this happens to be a white one because it shows up better in the camera, so I'm going to use this. Okay, and this is like a really fat straw, sort of, and also plastic. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using today. I've already taken the liberty of cutting the pieces that we're going to use into sections, and I labeled them. This happens to be the left front one. Okay, and what you do is each one of these holes in the tender is molded in such a way that behind the actual mold, the round part of this mold, it's attached to the tender wall. So imagine a keyhole shape. You got a round piece of plastic and then a straight piece back here attached to the wall. So we can't just slip a round tube over that entire opening, that piping. So what I did was, you take, for instance, this large one is because this front one is really in bad shape. I apologize for the lighting, but it's difficult to kind of have the lighting fixed so you can see this. But anyway, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start with this front. We're going to call this left front, left right, and of course rear, left and right, left. And each one of these little plastic pieces is labeled already. I've cut them to the size of the sleeve that I want to fix each one of these holes. And the way you do it is, after you cut the section, the piece, to the length, then what you're going to do is you're going to take your scissor and you're going to cut a slit in this circle so you can open up the tube. And then what I do is, not only did I cut it open, but I just removed, I made another cut. I removed just a very, very tiny sliver of plastic, so I could make room for that straight piece that I told you about that attaches the round piece that's in this tender to the side of the car, right? The shell. So now you see that plastic, I slid it down, and the slit is back at the wall so that it slides right over the circular tube that's in there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to take our right front tube, this one, and I'm going to open it up a little bit so I can get my finger in there. And then you see how I have a slit. That's going to slide right over the one on the other side. Okay, so now we have one on each side. And they go down as far as the old plastic was tall. So these are set so that the top of this tube is right at the top of where the plastic ended. Okay, so that when you put the frame in there, it goes in as far as it's supposed to before you screw it in. Okay, so we're going to put the other two on. I'm going to put the left rear on and open it up, let it slide down, open up the other one, let that slide down. Okay, now we have all four in there. Alright, and these tubes are only, again, only to the height or the depth, whatever way you want to say it, of the original tubes, plastic tubes that were molded. So now we got four of them in there. Okay, I'm going to back this camera up a little bit. You can see a little bit better what I'm doing here. Alright, so now what I do is I take a bit of super glue. This happens to be the brand I have at the moment, but I've used lots of different ones. This one is not the gel. This is basically the liquid, okay? Because it just flows easy. And you're only going to use a drop for each one of these plastic tubes that we put in here. And the way you're going to do it is you're going to put a drop on the, if my finger is the plastic tube, is the plastic original tube, and I put a sleeve over it, okay, I'm going to put the super glue between the original plastic and the sleeve that I just put over it, okay, so that the sleeve kind of gets glued to that original plastic. Alright, that will keep it in place when we do our next step. Alright, because we want these to stay in place, because they're going to become a permanent mold for us to put to build a new screw mount. Okay, so I put one drop there. I'm going to put a drop. This one is a little bit tougher. I'm going to put a drop there. We will put a drop here and one drop there. So all four of these now have a drop of super glue, and in about, oh, I don't know, 10-15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, these will be glued in place, hopefully. And I've done this before, so I know it works. But they will be glued in place, and they will be our posts, our new sleeves that we will now take. A wonderful product. It's called JB Weld. Okay, and this stuff, when you mix, you take the two tubes. This is a brand new package. I'm not going to use this one because I have another one already open. But this JB Weld, the strength of it has 5,020 psi. That's pounds per square inch of strength. It sets in 4 to 6 hours. Cure time is 15 to 24 hours. I always leave it 24 hours because I want it to dry nice. And it always cures a gray color. All right. So you mix it. You mix about enough as whatever you're going to use, the amount you're going to use. And one is the actual steel, and the other one is the hardener. Okay. So when this stuff dries, it becomes hard as steel. All right. So JB Weld, not expensive. You can go buy it in Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever hardware store near you. Now, I usually use these old AT&T USA Direct cards that they had phone numbers on to give to people. It's a plastic card. It's very thin. I have thousands of these. Anyway, what I do is I'm going to use this to mix the JB Weld, and let me just show you how to do this. So I take my JB Weld, these are my ones that I've already used here, and I'll move this out of the way for a second. I'll show you how I do this. Alright, there we go. And first I put the steel, the black tube, and we squeeze out. Now I've been using this a long time, these tubes, so they look kind of ratty, but I'm going to squeeze out quite a bit of JB Weld. That's the actual steel part. This is the hardener. So the steel is black, the hardener is gray. I think this will be the last time I use these because it seems like they're getting old. But you actually need to be as close to even amounts of steel and hardener. Okay, I'll put a little bit more hardener here. Okay. I certainly don't want to put too little hardener because then it doesn't harden as well. Anyway, so once you get that mixture laid out like that, alright, then I use this to start mixing the two together. It doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of effort. You'll know when it's fully mixed because it'll all turn an even gray color, which is pretty cool. I love this stuff. I've used it for a lot of different things. As some of you may know, I also have hobbies in model airplanes, and I used to put this stuff on mufflers to make engines, to make airplanes with bigger mufflers. Anyway, it really dries as steel. I use it for a lot of stuff. Okay, so we got this pretty much mixed, and this is real time. I'm not taking for, fancy fancy stop and go with the camera, as I never do in my videos. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to put this aside for 2 seconds. I'm going to bring back our piece. Okay. What I want to know now is, did these things dry good enough for me to mess with? Well, that one's in there pretty stiff. That's stiff. This one's stiff. And this one is stiff. Okay, so the 4 pieces of plastic tube are nice and stiff. Now you're probably wondering, gee, what do you do now? You gotta make a hole for the screw, right? Well, no, we're not doing that yet. What we're going to do is we're actually going to build a whole new post for a screw to go into. Okay, and that's what I love about doing this, because we're going to just fill these holes, these tubes, with JB weld. And this one has, as you saw, was pretty much gone from the top to the bottom. So I'm going to put a lot of JB weld in here, and I'm kind of like putting it right over the top of the plastic. All right, you can see that right there, how it's filled in. Now this stuff has a tendency to go towards gravity, so it's going to go down as I fill it. And usually you don't have such a deep hole. So we're going to go on to the other ones. And it's okay if you get it here and there. It's alright. You could always just take it off before it hardens. If it gets beyond, you don't want to get above where the frame is going to sit. You know what I mean? So you make sure you don't get JB weld on the side of the car over here, because then you won't be able to get the frame in. So that's another one there. We're going to do the next one in the back here. Beautiful. And we're going to do that next one. And by the way, you don't have to glue the entire tube. You know what I'm saying? You just have to make sure that you glue it on one side or the other piece of it, just so that it stays in place while you're doing this. Otherwise, it would be moving all over the place, and you wouldn't get a nice perfect height on this new post that we're building. All right. And it's okay if you want to put it around the sides. It's, nothing. It's not going to block anything. This one I'm going to put a little bit more fill. Make sure you don't overfill it. You don't want it to have a bump in the middle. You'd rather have it a little bit of a dip rather than a bump. Okay. Oh, we got this one here needs more. Now again, it's going to be level, filling the top of the tube basically, and do as best a job as you can for whatever tools you are using. And it's okay if it goes down a bit, because you still have plenty of meat there to make a hole and stick a screw in. So, as I said before, it loves gravity, and it will go down, but that's okay, because eventually it'll stop going down, and you'll have a great, nice post to do what you got to do. Now, I am going to just take the extra off of this, because I want to be able to put it in here. Beautiful. Now if you run into the situation, I haven't run into it yet, but if you ran into a situation where, you know, gee, this stuff went down so far that, you know, a screw would have to be really long to get into it. You could always, once it hardens, tomorrow you could fill it, you could top it off, and it's not going to drip, you know, it's not going to go down and make a hole because it'll be hard underneath. You'll just be topping it off. And you can see already these things are settling in. Okay, I try to make them even inside the hole. Even meaning, you know, left side, right side kind of a thing. But it doesn't matter. It's all going to settle. Okay. That's great. Beautiful. Alrighty. So put this piece of plastic card over to the side for now. We just put a little bit more in here. Beautiful. Okay. I threw that little plastic thing away because I don't need it. This I will clean, and then next time I have to do something like this, I'll cut another sliver to use as the tool, and I'll use this card a couple of times before I actually discard it, you know, get rid of it. Only because I want to make sure I don't run out of these things. They're so handy. I use them for a lot of different things. So you can see how I just cleaned off the WD-40. Alright, so now what's going to happen now is this has to dry, as I said. This has to dry overnight. And we're going to let that do its thing. And then I'm going to turn this video on tomorrow sometime, or maybe the next day. And I will show you how we take the frame, this frame, and we're going to put this frame in to the shell the way it belongs. And then I will show you a very, very easy way, perfect way, as a matter of fact, to make the holes for the screws. Alright, everyone stay well and keep them on the tracks. Okay, so this is Andy's Trains Repair and Maintenance, and we'll call this Repair Tender Shell number 2. Number 2 meaning the second video, which will probably be combined into one video. Anyway, in the first video, we put in our tubes, our plastic tubes, into the sides of the tender. We cut the slit in them, we put them in place. We use our JB Weld, we mixed it. We filled each tube with JB Weld, and we let it dry. Normally I always let it dry for 24 hours. This one, because I was busy yesterday, I actually let it dry for 48 hours. Not because I had to, but because I was busy. Anyway, so now what we're going to do is we're going to continue with this repair, and I'm going to show you how to very quickly make this happen. This is the guts to the tender. I've cleaned it all up as my usual other videos if you want to see how to do that. And it's a 6466W in beautiful shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop this right into the shell. Alright, fits in there beautifully, as it should. And now we actually, you can't really see it in the camera too much, but we can actually see through the holes. You can see the hole right there. And we can see the gray color of the JB Weld that we used. And I'm going to use a red marker, felt tip, has a point on it. Okay, pretty nice point on it. And we're going to use that. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this marker right through the hole, the metal hole, where the screw goes through, and we're going to put a little dot. I'm going to try to make sure we have the dot in the center of that hole, and as best we can. Alright, this one better here. Very good. We did the two front ones, we'll do the two back ones. I know it's hard to see, but I'll show you in a second. But I'm putting the marker right through the hole in the metal frame and marking the JB weld that we put in there. Alright, now we put the pen away, pull this out of the shell, and voila, you see that we have a red dot in the center. You can see those, okay, and we have the red dots there. I don't know if you can see those too well, but we do. And this one's a little off center. This one here is a little off center, but we'll just make up for that. Okay, so where was I? I was talking about the red dots. We put red dots in the center of each one of these uprights, okay, where we're going to put the screws. And now we have to drill the holes. Now, before you go drilling, what I usually do is, now I've done this before, so I know what drill bit I'm going to use, but and this doesn't have a particular size on it. Otherwise, I tell you what size it is, but it's a very small drill bit. All right. And what I usually do is, if I'm not sure, I do two things. One is I put the drill bit against the screw, and this screw is the normal Lionel quarter, number 4 screw, round head, self-tapping, and this happens to be 1/4 inch long. So I usually put the drill bit against the screw itself, and if it's thinner than, if I could see the threads on both sides of the drill bit, then this is a good drill bit to drill a pilot hole in the mounting places that we want. But if you're not sure, what you do is you get yourself a block of wood, like I've done here, and you turn your drill on, you drill a hole in the block of wood, then you test the screw in that hole, make sure it's the right size, that it's big enough for the screw to go in without forcing, and that the screw has enough bite on the threads to make a good tight fit. So that's what I've done already. So I know that this is the right drill bit for what I want to do. I have a variable speed Dremel tool, and this is the extension one. So I put it on a very low RPM, because you don't need a high RPM. This stuff is pretty easy to drill into. And then you have to really be good at keeping it vertically straight. You need the access in both directions so that the hole is straight down. I rest my elbow and I would drill right there. Okay, but before we actually rip the thing apart here, before we drill, what I'm going to do is, and I like to do this on these because otherwise the drill bit could wander and the hole would be in the wrong place. But I'm going to take my X-Acto knife with the point, and I'm going to make a little bit of a starting hole, okay, an indent in the material here that we have in there, and it's just enough for the bit not to wander. So I'm making a slight hole in the JB weld, okay, in each one of these. Now this one is a little bit off, so I'm going to go over here, make a hole there, just a little bit. You have to be careful not to break the tip of your blade because this stuff is strong. But we're going to make a hole in each one of these so our bit will not wander off in different directions. Okay. Now once we've made these holes, that's when we can use our drill bit. So here we'll start again. Make sure I'm vertically okay. And you don't have to go super deep on this. Just enough to make a nice little hole. Remember, the screw is not that long. It's only 1/4 inch in this case. And there you go. Now, if you're not sure if you made the holes deep enough, you can take the drill bit, push it down, then kind of mark it with your finger, pull it up. I definitely made that long enough. Let's pull this out. Oh, definitely went deep on that one. It's okay if you go deep because this stuff is going to be fine. Yeah, these are all good. Again, I've been doing this a while, so come on, baby. Sometimes you get stuck in a hole, but yeah, they're all good. We'll put this back, but hang here for a while. Just chill out up there. Clean out the extra stuff. All right. So now we have 4 beautiful holes. Okay, where we're going to mount these things. And just to show you, oops, take the screw, put it on a screwdriver, and you could test this before you put the frame in. You could test it with the screw. This is hard to film and do at the same time, sorry. But in any case, let me use a... No, that's not good. Use my other screwdriver here. Alright, I'm going to get it. I may have made these pilot holes a little small in my haste, but that's okay. So we got a screw here, if I could ever get it to stand up. Put it in the hole, just in the beginning here. Come on. Of course, while I'm filming, this is a pain, but I think I may have to make these just a tad bit bigger at the top. I do like it snug. So, alright, we got a bite now, and we slowly, yeah, I probably have to make these holes a little bigger, kind of tight, very tight, but anyway, so that screw is in that hole, as you can see it, right there, alright. Now, I'm not pushing it down too far because we don't have the frame in there and there's no need to go all the way down as long as this is grabbing. And okay, so we have, let's see, right here, the best Lionel Train parts available are at the Train Tender, www.ttender.com, and his email is jeff@ttender.com. The number is 585-229-2050. Tell Jeff that Andy sent you. Okay, but he's fantastic. He has the best parts. He's got my screws and the rest of my order ready for me. I will pick it up when I go to York. Usually I get it mailed, but since I'll see him in a week, it's no big deal. You also have my Andy's Trains, Andy's Lionel Trains Repair and Maintenance on my YouTube channel. Okay, my YouTube channel will have a little round symbol, sort of like my mark, if you will, and it's a 1952 cover, Lionel cover that I used. Anyway, you'll know my website, and the next thing down or up is ClassicToyTrains.com, and fantastic magazine. If you're into post-war and American Flyer, you definitely want that magazine. And you could tell Roger Karp, one of the main guys there, that Andy sent you. And this is amazing. Cornucopia of ToyTrains.com. If you really want to see what Lionel made and all the different variations, etc., it's a tons of information. Cornucopia, CORNUCOPIA of OF, toy, TOYTRAINS.com. All one word, lowercase. You will be amazed. Okay, enough advertising. So getting back to the tender, we marked them, we drilled the holes, and I'll drop this in, and I will show you. I only have, like I said before, I don't know if you caught it, but I only have one screw because I ran out of screws. I will be getting more from Jeff, my buddy, Toy Trains parts, Lionel Toy Train parts. And this screw here, let me magnetize my screwdriver again. And we'll just put that right in the hole, right here. And since we already got this screw in here before, and we screwed it down, it's easier now than it would have been. Okay. Okay, so we're just putting this screw in. We only have one screw, like I said 1,000 times already. And we tighten that one screw. And now I have no screws in the back yet because I don't have any more screws, but I'm going to hold the back in. And there's your front. And that's staying in there beautiful, man. Alright, that's only one screw. And when we have all four in there, this thing's like brand new. With the screws in and, you know, holding in there and so on and so forth. So anyway, that's the way to do it. And you can do that with all your different rolling stock that, you know, needs repair with regard to holes where screws go. Alright, so I'm going to take the screw out because I don't want to forget that I only have one in there and then pick it up and half this thing comes out. But